Huge week in entertainment. We had an absolutely electric triple elimination Survivor show.
Emily Flippin.
Is the MVP potentially of the entire show so far.
The girl can't keep a secret. Guy shits his pants on national television.
The guy's on fire. New video footage of Justin Timberlake getting arrested.
Tom Sandoval, who's just hot.
Tiger Woods flipping his car.
Redemption Cruise 2026. It's in play.
Episode 4 coming to a close with a bang, quite literally. Welcome back to the Paulie and Dev Show, episode 4. We're absolutely rolling through these things. Huge week in entertainment. Obviously, Survivor, House of Villains, outstanding episodes. Some big breaking news stories in the reality TV world. Shout out Summer House. We're going to get to all of it right now, so strap in. It's going to be an electric episode. Paulie, how the hell are you feeling?
Dev, I'm feeling great this morning. We've got a jam-packed episode. And before we get to it, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you like, subscribe to the YouTube, to the Spotify. We are soaring with the subscriber count. We are soaring with the viewer count. It's getting better and better every week. You guys are loving the clips online. And although 1-minute clips are exciting and entertaining to engage on, you really want the full package here. You're just getting a little bit of foreplay with those clips. If you really want the real date, right? We're taking you out to dinner. You get the appetizers, you get the meal, you get the dessert, you get a little bit of fun afterwards, right? You're getting lucky. You want the whole episode, okay? And we've got something special to announce here. Redemption Cruise 2026. It's in play. Dev and I, we wanted to keep it a secret. We can't keep it a secret anymore. Redemption Cruise 2026. Dev, how you feeling about that?
Well, everybody thought it was an April Fool's prank. So we missed the mark a little bit on marketing there because we did release it on April 1st. Also, the other thing that I released on April 1st is that I'm going to be making a poetry book called The Molehill.
And this was not an April Fool's joke.
It's not an April Fool's joke. I've got a fair amount of it written. It's similar to what do they call that when you tell a story about your life? It's like
a biography or memoir. Memoir.
Similar to a memoir, but in the form of short-term poems. So I start right at Are You the One? And I move all the way through, just like we're doing on our bonus episodes. But it's just something you can read, a little coffee table book. It's got some good stories in there. And also not an April Fool's joke. But the Redemption Cruise is 100% happening. If you are aware of the disaster that was the Cruise 1, then you know why we're calling it the Redemption Cruise. But we shall not speak of the cruise that didn't happen. Well, I guess it did happen for you, but not the way it was supposed to. And we're going to do it correctly this time. The itinerary is fire. We're locked in on a beautiful boat. We're working directly with Royal Caribbean. The booking is super simple, and it's going to be awesome. So cast will be announced shortly. Links will be provided for everybody on our socials. Right now, we've kept it to the original group is able to book for now, but that's going to open itself up. So I'm stoked about it.
I'm stoked. And ladies and gentlemen, one thing you don't know about Dev and I, all right? We have co-hosted shows before, and they have been electric. And you may not know this about our good friend Devin Walker here, but the man is a creative genius. He must have, in a former life, been some sort of showrunner in terms of coming up with creative, fun things. I'm kind of the over-the-top person, the Kenny Powers, if you will, of like fireworks, let's go. So you combine those two things,
jet skis,
one planning thing, you're going to have a well thought out, creative, fun, interactive cruise with the showmanship of, I don't know, like, let's talk about the greats here. We're talking Bruce Buffer. We're talking
No
we're
one knows
talking
who
Hulk
Bruce Buffer
Hogan.
is.
We're talking Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Okay.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels, maybe. I don't know. But it's all happening in one cruise. But without further ado, Dev, we've got a show to do. The people want more of the Paulie and Dev show, whether they realize it or not.
Yeah, well, they're going to get it. So they might as well don't fight it at this point, you know? It's happening. You're literally listening to it, and we're not going to waste any more of your time because we had an absolutely electric triple elimination Survivor show. They have just started taking people out. And yet again, I'd just like to give my weekly credit to Emily Flippin, who
Emily Flippin.
is the MVP potentially of the entire show so far, in my humble opinion. She just keeps gaining traction.
She just stays winning, and I don't know what it is about her, but I think the camera crew also knows that she's the MVP because I don't know if you noticed this, but Tribal Council, it's always on her face.
It's the Flippin' show.
It's the flipping show. We're all flipping for flipping over here on the Paulie and Dev show. The
It's
girl
this.
can't keep a secret.
No, it's Survivor season. It's Survivor season Flippin'.
Season flipping.
That's
This
what it
is
is.
Yeah, this is Survivor season flipping. Did you see the clip? She must have been at a meet and greet or something, and she's just like, "Don't tell me a secret, because I'm telling everybody." And you know what? You may think it's not good gameplay, but it actually doesn't hurt me. It hurts my allies. So
It was amazing. It's exactly correct. And now, like, okay, so again, this is goes back to kind of what we were talking about, where it's like, is she Meryl Streep? Because now we know the self-awareness is there.
the self-awareness is there.
She
She
knows.
knows.
She
She
knows it's happening. That was our big question. We were like,
she
is this an accident, or is she aware of what's going on and just cannot help it? And it is the latter.
Dev, see, you explained what makes somebody have you fall head over heels for them on a show, and it's the
Hmm.
messiness. I've explained what makes me fall head over heels on someone, and it's doubling down on social media
Yeah.
on your poor decisions. And this we might as well just rename this show to the Emily Flippin Stand Club at this point, because it's not even the
Hmm.
Paulie and Dev show after this episode of Survivor, because that coupled with the clip of like, yeah, I know I'm screwing my allies over, but I can't keep a secret. And oh, by the way, Ozzy hides his idol where people take shits.
That's very bizarre. You're gonna get shit on your idol.
Speaking about shit, can we just talk about Christian for a minute? Guy shits his pants on national television and has gotten his way in every tribal council that he wants. Takes out the White Lotus,
It's crazy.
crazy.
It's a wild turnaround moment to moment with him. Yeah, the dumping in the pants was an interesting twist there.
Confessional King. Do I dare give him that title?
He's very good. He's very good, but I'm still partial to Rizgod.
We didn't get much Rizgod this episode. I was a
We
little
didn't get a
sad.
ton.
I was a little sad. He did go to exile. You know, Rizgod he's got me on the edge of my seat this season because the the watcher of old school Survivor in me is like, this guy's pissing people off in the
Hmm.
sense of like he's bragging. He's like, I want to be known as the best. I've got these idols. I'm playing it in your face. Old school Survivor would have been like, you're gone. Somehow he's still there. He's still
Right.
playing it in people's faces. He's in a great position. And if this guy makes it deep, we're going to get confessional gold from him.
Yeah, it almost like, because you've been on shows too, so you can almost predict now, like based off of who's going to have a big episode. Um, that there is a little bit of, obviously it's a TV show, right? We know this. So I feel like not getting a ton of him this episode is actually a good thing for his longevity in the game. Now, I don't want to read too much into it, and I try not to watch TV like that because it kind of ruins it. But that's my thought process right now. Is they're like, we don't need to pack it in right now with him because there's going to be plenty of time for that later.
Yeah,
Because do keep in mind, they edit the show after it already happened.
correct.
So they know what happened when they're making the show.
Yeah,
And that's what I'm hoping is happening with Rizgod is that he's just having a couple, well, not even a couple, but one off day, essentially because he's going to be heavy in the storylines moving forward, and they want to get to the people. Really, obviously, this was a big episode. triple elimination. I think it had one of them had you on the brink of tears, had you feeling emotional. Let's talk about it.
Dude, look, let's talk about it, man. Colby.
Gone too
Colby.
soon.
Yeah, gone too soon. I think Kobe may have been my by awakening as a child, first and foremost.
Wow.
Guy was an absolute stud, manly man. And
Dude, that shit, can we give a shout out to Colby for being Paulie's bi awakening?
yeah, little
Let's
old middle school
go.
Paulie sees Kobe sweating, chiseled, rocks a beard like no one else. And I'm sitting there being like, is it normal to have these kind of feelings for a guy? Like I loved seeing him dominate. It was just, I was like, yeah, I want to be that guy when I grow up.
Wow.
And
This
then
is breaking news.
this is breaking news. Kobe possibly Paulie's by awakening as a young boy.
Wow.
And I don't get emotional watching these shows because I'm watching it for the entertainment, but I
Hmm.
found myself getting choked up seeing him get tears in his eyes, seeing Sari get tears in her eyes, seeing Coach get tears in his eyes, and like, everybody else sprinkling in that like there's a legend that isn't gonna make jury. And that was just so crazy to me. And the fact that it was Kobe kind of broke my heart a little bit because even from the competitor standpoint, which I love, he was the OG GOAT of
Yeah.
competitions. He didn't win, but he was like he won all of the challenges that like where he got a new truck, all of these things, and he was just such a beast. He was the original like immunity god. And
Mm.
it was just insane to see. And then I saw an interview that his foot injury was actually so bad they wanted to medevac him out because it was infected. And he chose to be like, no, I'm going out like the warrior that I am. I'm getting voted out because this is
Yeah.
Survivor. I'm not getting medvaced.
It was very honorable, very, very honorable, death, so to speak. Obviously, in the terms of a game show, that's not really what's happening, but it for his time on Survivor 50, it comes to an end, so it's an appropriate term in some capacity. And yeah, he went out like the warrior that he is, which props again to Colby for not only being Paulie's by awakening, but also for saying, I'm not going out like no chump. I'm going to take the votes. And I'm also, because if I get medevaced out, maybe someone else still has to go. I don't know
Yeah.
if this was part of his thinking or not, but
Yeah.
it was almost like he was saying, I can save somebody, you
He Tony
know?
Starked himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tony Starked himself.
He really did. Now,
Yeah.
that was a brilliant elimination. Genevieve, on the other hand, this is our what would you do moment of the episode. Has an idol, doesn't play it, gets bounced. What would you have done in that situation? Let's talk about idle play in a situation like that. I know where I would go. I'm curious to hear your take here. And obviously, we can Monday morning quarterback it all we want. It's easier to say, "Oh, well, it didn't work out, so you should have done this." I look at it like this one especially. I haven't seen the other ones. I have nothing to compare it to, but this one feels like a survive and advance game. This feels like if you try to play too much chess, like right now it almost feels checkery, where it's
Mhm.
like you just got to get to the next one. And if you worry too much about 3 or 4 moves ahead, that you're going to end up getting clipped. What are your thoughts on holding the idol there?
Yeah, I think if there is a bonehead moment of the season, Genevieve has the bonehead moment of the season. And it's crazy because it's very unlike her because she is known for being a dangerous player, for being a smart player. And
Hmm.
I don't know where this whole idol thing got away from its initial use because watching old seasons of Survivor, right? It's like if you knew you were on the chopping block, you were using the idol and you were keeping
Right
yourself
away.
safe. Yeah,
Well, that's
right
what
away.
I would do is like if I'm playing the percentages, I'm like if I think there's even like a 20% chance because of how common blindsides are.
Yeah.
So like if I'm not 100% in the know about where this is going and there's a ton of reasons why it's going there and I'm pivotal in that process, so I have to be brought into it, I'm playing the idol.
Yeah. And this goes back to what we were talking about last episode is this whole idea of how people are using idols and leveraging idols. It's like the second that Riz God was like, I've got idols. Old school Survivor would have been like, you're getting voted out. This
You're
tribe,
cooked.
even if there was no intention of voting him out, just to get him to play the idol. Now you've got Genevieve here who has an idol, and instead she chooses to play the shot in the dark, which is you just have a bunch of scrolls in there. Jeff reaches his hand in, grabs one. Only one scroll says safe.
How
The
many were
rest
in
say
there?
not safe.
Six?
Six.
So you're looking at 17% chance versus 100.
Yeah. Which is
It,
which is crazy to me.
and do the scrolls represent, like, do they go down as there's less people available? Or would the scrolls always be the same? It's always a one in
The
six.
scrolls are always gonna be the same, the basically the amount of people that are there, I think, plus one, right? So there was the
Okay, that's what I assumed.
yeah,
But so then it's way more valuable, unless there's a time limit on it I'm not aware of. It's way more valuable to use that later. She reversed the order of them.
yeah, and I'm gonna
You're
sit here and I'm gonna bring some knowledge from our world into this world about how I possibly had just as much of a boneheaded mistake by not thinking week to week and thinking far. Because these people now they want to be like, oh, if I have an idol towards the end, I'm guaranteed. It's like first you got to get to the end, right? So like let's talk about season 40, right? All you had to do after that first challenge was make it out of that very like high probability of you going into elimination situation, right? It was narrowed down to just our teams. Very similar to what just happened here, right? The merger happens, but these eliminations happened only in the groups that they were in, those three groups of five,
yeah.
right? Now, instead of me smartly going in and kind of like putting my hands up and being like, guys, I can be an asset here. I'll do whatever it takes. Meech, Horacio, like, I'm your guy here. Let me reassure you that I'm your guy here.
Hmm.
Instead, I went in and I was like, fuck you, Theo. Like, I'm coming for you. You said my name. I'm gonna make this happen. And then that almost tied the hands of the people making the decision, being like, why are we going to get blood on our hands putting anybody else in when he just offered himself up? And didn't
Yeah,
work out in my favor, Kyle.
you guys were in a little bit more of a unique position because obviously Kyland, Horacio, Kyland, Michelle all have relationships outside of 40 because they've just played 39 together. And I mean, Michelle wasn't working with the two of them at that point, but they Horacio was 100% not saying his name. So
Yeah.
that it already limited it took it down. I believe it would have been between you and Josh. So it would have been difficult to turn that because I guess there's one other person in there, but I forget who it was.
Yeah. Well, knowing that
But you're right.
Michelle is at that point would have been the more vocal person for
Hmm.
campaigning for somebody, I could have catered it towards her in the sense knowing that she would have strong-armed Horacio in his decision. Maybe not on Kylan, but it could have maybe not been me. Right.
Yeah, throwing everything at the wall in that situation and just getting through the first one. When I play the challenge, it's always my mindset. Make it through the first one. The first one's the most dangerous. Make it
Yep.
through the first one, get to the halfway point, get to the final.
Yep.
After, if you can do those three things, it sounds stupid, but that's you really got to kind of play the game that way because if you start looking too far ahead, then you're going to end up getting snake bit. But if you're not looking enough far ahead enough, then you're going to be playing risky things and you're not going to be able to calculate the appropriate move at the right time to be able to
Yeah.
give yourself the best chance at winning, right? Because
Yeah.
if you just want to get to the final versus you want to win the final, there's two different routes that you can take there. Um,
Yeah.
and that it correlates a little bit here.
Yeah. I think if
So
Genevieve just got past this one, she's sitting good. And I think if she did, the merger's already there. And you don't know how the other votes on the other segments are gonna ripple effects back at tribal.
exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah, it felt to me like a bit of a missed opportunity, obviously, again, in retrospect, but I would have played it.
100%.
Sounds like you would have played it too. We did have a blind side, obviously. Camilla, I don't think she saw that coming.
Didn't.
Felt like a great game move and kind of gave us the third type of elimination, right? And they were all different. We had one person essentially bow out. We had one person that we'll just call it kind of missed the mark on
Yeah.
saving themselves. That's kind of on you. And then we
Yep.
had one, there's literally nothing you could have done. The writing was on the
Blindside.
wall. You just weren't a part of it.
Yeah.
They covered all the three main types of eliminations from my limited experience in the show. I would have been pissed.
Yeah. I think she was pissed. She said something as she was leaving. She said, "Bro, drag that man through the mud."
Mm,
And I think that was directed towards the other one in the alliance. I can't think of her name off the top of my head. The other young player that was in the group.
not D.
No, not D, because D had the immunity idol. It was the third one that was there.
Man, if neither one of us remember the name, it can't be doing too good.
Yeah, can't be, they're not doing well, right? Like they're not sticking out at all. Hence why we don't remember the name. But this was a bold move by Jonathan, but I think this is exactly what he needed to do after he was just left out of a vote prior,
Hmm.
right? This is like one of those things where
Get a few more people on your side.
yeah, and once again, if he's looking at the writing on the wall where it's like Rizgod, Camilla, D, and then the other girl who we can't remember her name, right? You're on the bottom of the totem pole as like of that. So you are getting cut at a certain point if you don't shake things up with this alliance. And honestly, a really concentrated group of five, if you stay a part of that, can kind of control the rest of tribal as it goes, right? So he took his shot. I think he made it very smart because I think we're on the brink of a old school versus new school slaughter. And I think he wanted
Yeah.
to be on the right side of history there. And I think he identifies more with the old school gameplay
Yep.
than the new school gameplay.
Well, speaking of old school, we're going to touch on this super briefly because arguably Survivor's most famous alum did an interview recently, Boston Rob,
Mhm.
in which he said that he was invited, but that he felt like it was more important to give somebody else a shot. And I gotta just say, I respect the hell out of the decision.
I respect the hell out of the decision too. I know I've been extremely vocal on this topic in other realms, and I wish I could say it as well as, like how you and Tony kind of joked about it of like, hey, we were kind of blindsided. We thought we were getting the torch here, and then we just never did, right?
Hmm.
But I think what I ultimately have been looking for is the people in our world to do the same thing. And
Mm.
Boston Rob's a legend. When you think of Survivor, you think of Boston Rob, and he's on Traders, and he's got his own Traders podcast. There is never going to be a realm where you don't talk about Boston Rob as one of the goats of Survivor. The same way you're never going to not talk about Tom Brady as the goat of football when it comes to the quarterback position, right? And you kind
He's
of
the guy.
you kind of ruin, in my opinion. I'm like, if you kind of keep going and you keep holding on, eventually everything that you did is going to get erased until you take time away from it when you finally do retire for people to reflect on it, which may come, may never come. And I just respect the hell out of Boston Rob for literally saying, I've had my time, I've had my moment. I want to give it to other people on a stage like this in order to
Hmm.
make sure that the show itself of Survivor gets those new people and gets those new viewers invested in people that maybe didn't get the same opportunity as me. And I respect the hell out of it because that's all I've really, truly wanted the OGs of the challenge to do is to just bow out and be like, we had our time, we had our glory moments. We were part of like the best parts of the challenge. And now we're going to give it to the new guys.
All I've ever wanted was for everyone to stop coming on the show that I don't like anymore. Like, okay, yeah, no, we're there. Same page. Anyways, Boston Rob, you get the honorable moment mention of the week from the Paulie and Dev show. It's an accolade. We don't know how credible it is. It's the first one we've ever given out. Oh, shit, we probably should have given it to Colby. Well, no take backs. Boston Rob, first ever award recipient. Let's switch gears here We got to go to we got to talk about our guy Sandy because he has an absolute electric performance yet again. The guy's on fire. We're talking about Tom Sandoval. We're talking about House of Villains, and they lost me a little bit on this episode, except for Sandy. I think he saved the app. I really feel like he's saving the show. I don't know if there's a ton of other like superstars in there. And if you replace him with anybody else, I think the show goes from where I would put it right now at like a 7.8 maybe to like mid sixes without Tommy. So glad he hung on, electric performance. And when someone's on a heater like this, the best thing you can do is just turn on the TV and watch.
That's it. Sandoval is giving us everything that reality TV was made for. He's given us everything that a competition reality person crossover should give us
Hmm.
when we want this. I mean, he is just electric. I can't take my eyes off the guy, right? At like I'm
He's
looking at every little thing.
a gap has never worked better in someone's teeth
Yeah,
than Tom's. It's just the guy is in a flow state. He's Steph Curry in 2015 right now. He's pulling up from the logo and it's just net, net, net. Just it's an unbelievable performance. Also, shout out Tyson, incredibly entertaining. Not super, not quite Sandoval level, but I do like the little addition of New York into that trio. It's kind of a very interesting squad. And, Kate finds herself on the outside looking in. And obviously, Christine did as well. So I don't know if you were in there, what would the strategy be to try to drive a wedge, if it's even possible at this point, in between what looks like the Triangle of Destiny in Sandoval, Tyson in New York?
I think there's no wedge to be driven. I think Paul and Kate put the hardest press on that when it came to Tyson and Sandy. And Tyson, being the absolute gaming genius that he is,
Saw
just
right through it.
yeah, he saw right through it and he swept it up like it
Hmm.
was nothing. And he
Yeah.
he just really almost love bombed the shit out of Sandy and got him right back. Got him right
Hmm.
back into the bromance. And I think that everybody sees the writing on the wall, but all it takes is a little hint of doubt, right? Because
Hmm.
Christine's up there. Not everybody's a fan of how she just leaves a mess of the bedrooms and the bathrooms. And she really has it. She's playing the ultimate floater game,
Yeah.
and now we got a little insight that she's like literally acting like she has no idea what's going on. And like that's kind of a dangerous person to be sitting next to at the end of like House of Villains because, look what happened to our good friend Wes Bergman, right?
West played an
Ultimately,
absolutely flawless game.
flawless game, flawless
Absolutely
game.
flawless game. They got to give him another shot.
I think they got to give him another shot. I
They
don't know
got to give
why.
Wes another shot. They should do an all-star season of House of Villains because there is and I understand this is like the type of show and game that it is. But it just so happens that for the most part, all the people that are the best at it are the most entertaining. So they could do an all-star season that is still the funniest, the best competitions, and overall the best TV. You really could just pick all the ones from, the previous seasons that have done well because I mean, with the exception of Mr. Spectacular, who I guess is good TV. It was hard for me to watch it non-biasly because I'm such a West guy
Yeah,
that I couldn't potentially appreciate what he was bringing to the table. He didn't seem very funny to me.
yeah.
Well, it wasn't very funny, but he did end up winning the show, so you got to give some credit there. But
Well, no, he
um,
didn't win. Safari won.
oh, you're right.
Yeah, Jesse just gave the final vote and, made Wes get down on his knees. But once again, that's a thing where Safari wasn't really involved in much, you
You're
know?
right.
Like
You're
Wes
right.
just kind of grabbed him and was like, he almost, what Wes did with Safari is what he did to Hunter on War of the Worlds 1.
Mm.
He basically like I don't know if you remember this confessional that Hunter gave where he's like, Wes told me I need to be a little bit of a sociopath. So I don't even know what that word means, but I'm gonna do it. And like,
Dude, Hunter, man, shout out Hunter Bryan.
dude, shout out to
That
Hunter, man.
that's a bad man right there.
Dude,
He's
I
got to he's
love,
got to make his return to this. That
man,
was nobody did it quite like Hunter. He carved his own path there, man.
Hunter was one of my favorites.
Hunter's electric. Hunter, we're going to get into this in our bonus episodes, but I have an amazing Hunter story that perfectly describes his kind of fierce loyalty. And it was right off the bat, immediately, very funny story. I'm actually going to cover it in our next bonus episode because it happens in like the first week of RE the One. So we are going to get there. Yeah, I like the episode. You know, obviously there's some stars of the show. I don't know what how Kate's gonna get out of this now. I mean, she's gonna have to rally some numbers somehow. I think the next episode will be great. This felt like a building episode. I did love to see Candy. You know, that was a nice addition, a nice fun reunion-y vibe. Didn't
Mhm.
move the needle too much for me, but I did think, that building that atmosphere of just like kind of lightheartedness was good
Yeah.
because the previous episode was just mean. So
Yeah. Oh, it was
that's what
mean.
I struggle
And
with this show is I'm like, God damn, it's so funny, but then geez, it's so mean.
it's so
Um,
mean. We got to see our boy
yeah.
Josh.
Yeah, we got to see Josh. We got to see Josh, which was great.
Josh not in the middle of a blow up.
Where did that come from?
I think they just for the competition they brought the friends in to compete with the people that were, on the chopping block, on the hit list, if you will. And then they were just like, we're gonna bring in everybody's friends and we're gonna make this a little night. And
Yeah.
Paul and Josh are close. They wrote it
Okay.
all the way to the end on Big Brother 19. Paul got invited to back-to-back Big Brother shows, which Devon is one of the only people that did that, and now Paul joins that. So there's only two people that have been invited to back-to-back seasons, and it's those.
Okay. Okay. So this is a Big Brother Paul and Josh thing that I just am not privy to.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
Josh
Paul ran it back to back.
ran it back to back, and the reason why he goes down as the best to never win is because he was sitting in the final two chair both seasons in a row and lost.
Oh my God. Double silver.
Double silver.
That's tough. There's a Buffalo Bills quarterback who went to 4 Super Bowls
Jim
and
Kelly.
yeah, Jim Kelly.
Yeah,
Yikes. Paul
yeah.
is the Jim Kelly of Big Brother.
Paul is the Jim Kelly of Big Brother.
Man, shout out Paul, the best to never win.
The best to never win.
That's tough.
Um,
I mean, that's kind of like Leroy, Nani, and Issaquah, who have all been to multiple finals and just haven't been able to lift the trophy yet. Although I do believe all three of them are going to get one at some stage. I hope those three, specifically those three. I know there's a lot of people that are deserving probably of winning and haven't, particularly those three. I just think the fan base would erupt if one of them got a W. Even an All-Stars W.
yeah,
Even an All-Stars W, I just feel like what a nice kind of crown on the career of those three. There's a
yeah,
lot of people I can say haven't brought a ton that to the show. I really won't hear an argument against either or any of those three in terms of what they've done for the franchise as a whole over the whole landscape of their career. And I'd love to
right.
see him win. So I'm sure people
Yep.
maybe give Paul a third chance at Big Brother. Has he played again since then, or it's just the two?
No, but I think he has a good shot of if they ever do another themed Big Brother, like if there's another All Stars, if they do a heroes versus villains, if they do a best to never win, if they do a second chances,
You got to have,
Paul's there.
yeah, yeah, Paul. Great name too. I've always liked the name Paul.
It's a great name.
You don't meet a ton of them, but they all are very quirky. Would Paul be, I guess he's on House of Villains, so that would be the answer. But in the Big Brother community, is he a hero?
Paul is very much well loved
Could
in the
go on
Big Brother
either side.
community. So he would be a villain, but he's not a villain like how I'm a villain, where like there's just people that have some hatred there,
Mm,
right?
hmm.
He took the route of like everybody's like, we love this guy because he's the villain.
He's a fun one.
He's a fun one. I mean, like, listen, he got ripped by New York and she threw out cumbersome at him, and he was just like, yeah, totally. Cumbersome's exactly the word to describe that. And that was like kind of his, like, in his own way of like being a dickhead because I don't know if cumbersome described, you know, how he was being in the manner in which New York threw out the word cumbersome. I think she just had that word. She wanted to use it. She used it there. And Paul, being as smart as he is, was just kind of like, oh, yeah, no, totally. Cumbersome is the way to do it. And like, he's like, that's totally the word that describes me for sure. And he did it in a way where like, she was like, yeah, I won the argument. But anybody with a brain is kind of like, yeah, Paul just totally ripped her without ripping her.
He's a high level reality personality. I will give him that. And honestly, all the ones that are left are we're down to six, right? We've
Hmm.
got obviously Tyson, Tom, New York, and then we've got Paul, Kate, and Drita. We did this early. Let's do it again. My choice hasn't changed. I want him to win. I think that he can. I'm taking our guy, Tom Sandoval, to hoist the trophy of America's ultimate supervillain. Who do you got?
I think if Sandy makes it past this elimination, like
Hmm.
if Kate, if somehow the agents have spoken beforehand, if somehow there was like a whole thing of like, hey guys, if there ever comes a moment where you gotta save each other because you're gonna have to see each other at BravoCon.
Secret
And
Alliance.
secret alliance,
Mm. Agent
a
Alliance.
agent backed alliance, right? A publicist backed alliance. I could
Mm.
see this because Kate was pretty dead set, right? But the second that Tyson was off the block, she started kind of coming around. And even after an explosive argument like that, that's usually deal sealed
Mm.
unless there's something else going on, right?
Mm.
Like if like I don't know how to, put this because
I think you
yeah,
put it pretty appropriately, right?
yeah,
Like there's it, I did the BravoCon element I hadn't thought of. I haven't thought of BravoCon.
yeah.
It's very interesting. There's a lot going on right now with Bravo.
And Sandy's kind of the guy in the Bravo world right now, right? His
Hmm.
Traders appearance made him like loved just because he was so clueless about the game and his reactions were so authentic. And now he's playing a game where he's like he's having fun. He's like, I'm gaming. He's like Tom Sandoval, the only person, yeah, when my agent put me on, what special forces, I didn't even like that. I didn't even give a shit. Traders, fuck that show. But I'm actually having fun here. Like the breaking
Hmm.
of the fourth wall in House of Villains is my most favorite part
It's great.
of everything.
It's great.
And I think there might be a little tugging of the strings because Sandoval's the guy, right? As of right now
Hmm.
in the Bravo world, you got Southern Charm, that's hot. You got Southern Hospitality, that's hot. Then you got Tom Sandoval, who's just hot.
I mean, you also have Summer House, and the only person who could possibly be having a better redemption arc than Tom Sandoval is Kyle from Summer House.
He's having a great redemption arc. Did you know he's in his 40s?
Kyle looks great. I don't watch the show. Michelle and her sister love the show. Shout out Loverboy. They always have Loverboys in their refrigerator.
Mhm.
And in desperate times of need, late at night, I go into the Loverboy. They don't have any vegetables in there. It's just a drawer full of Loverboys.
Mhm.
And after I've hammered down all my beers, I do like to enjoy a Loverboy, and they will get you there. So shout out Kyle, shout out Loverboy. Crazy redemption arc. Now I don't know the guy. I've never met him. I've only seen clips. Kind of an interesting dude. Was not getting a great rap publicly for his behavior leading up to about 2 weeks ago. And now all of a sudden, who's the other guy on there that he's kind of Jesse there's a viral clip of some English guy being like they think that I'm trying to like get with my mate's missus, and it's a hilarious clip. You got to look it up. But Jesse had posted anybody but the mate's missus a couple weeks ago, and then it came true because I don't know if you're privy to this or not, but this guy West with a T, who is not Wes,
This is
leave
not
Wes
Wes Bergman,
alone.
people. Leave Wes alone.
I guess is, I don't know if an affair is the right word, but whatever's happening, he's having a romantic relationship with Kyle's ex-wife. And he was also dating a girl named Sierra, who is this girl Amanda's best friend. It's a complicated web. I haven't quite wrapped my head around it. But what has come out of all of this, and the reason it's relevant to us, is because right behind Sandoval, who was
Hated.
hated until he went on Traders,
Yep.
hated.
Hated.
Kyle's stock is starting to rise because Kyle was not super popular, I don't think, based on what I'm seeing at the end of last summer. And he's getting a lot. He is gone from villain to victim. And there's not really a much easier pathway to redemption than that. So are
I
you
agree.
familiar with this story, or is my feed
No,
just fucked
no, no,
up?
no. I'm familiar. I'm familiar with the stories going on. Fun fact: when I first came off of Big Brother, I had dinner with Kyle and Jax from Vanderpump, which I would say Lisa Vanderpump, also the goated royalty of Bravo. And you've seen me with Lisa Vanderpump. I think we're going to be seeing some other challengers with Lisa Vanderpump at some point. Don't want to give anything away. Don't
I
want to
don't know.
spoil anything.
It could be, it could not be, you know? You never know. It's an
You,
interesting concept, though.
it's in,
Something tells me that if it were to happen, it would be very entertaining.
yeah. I,
So I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see what happens there on Vanderpump Villa season 3, but I can assure you that we'll be covering it.
Oh, we'll for sure be covering. Do you think challengers should be regulars as guests? Vanderpump, full transparency. I was to the last stage of being a main cast on
Hmm.
Vanderpump season 3 as one of the maitre d's in that
What's
capacity.
a maitre d'?
Kind of like the person who's like they organize. Like if
Hmm,
you've ever gone to a venue, they're the person that oversees the logistics of everything in the
got
venue.
it.
So in the Vanderpump Villa world, that would be the person that as guests come in are like, "Hi, this person, here's your itinerary for everything." They're going and checking on the kitchen, they're checking on the servers, they're making sure everything's coming out on time. High risk, high reward job, because if you're great, you're loved. One mess up, you're gone,
Yeah.
cooked. But we'll definitely be covering it because I'm excited to see if any challengers pop their heads in season 3. I think groups of challengers should just be mainstays every season as at least 1 to 2 episodes.
Well, we're gonna have to see how this next season plays out to see if that invitation has been revoked fully or not. So I guess only time only time will tell. Only
Yeah.
time will tell. Yeah, there's a couple other breaking news stories that I did want to get to that happened this week, and I want your take
In
on a
a in
couple
a
things.
segment that Dev and I would like to not officially title, but possibly title, Did You See This Happened?
Hmm.
We'll workshop it. Workshop it. First one going out there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know if I love the title of this segment yet, but it's a good starting point. Obviously, there's been new video footages. We're a little late to the party here, but it's relevant. So, new video footage of Justin Timberlake getting arrested, new video footage of Tiger Woods flipping his car. Now, not at all condoning impaired driving in any capacity. It's a bad thing to do. Here's my take on this, right? First of all, electric videos. Telling somebody, my name's Justin Timberlake, I'm an international superstar, is funny. Okay. And also, I don't blame him. Then there's this video of Tiger who's like, they've allowed him to kind of like stroll around near where the car flipped. And they're like, sir, can you come back here? And he's like, yeah, no problem. I was just on the phone with the president. So like, I don't blame these like that level of celebrity at all for having those moments, but it's just proof again that we are living in just completely different worlds. And if I were the judge, and I think this is fair, you have to take into account people's like lifestyles, right? And if I were the judge, I would say neither one of you can ever drive again. You don't get to drive. If you can afford a driver, you can't do that to a normal person, obviously,
Can't do that. Yeah.
because they have to, they can't afford it. international superstar on the phone with the president. You can obviously afford to have a driver. You don't get to drive anymore. Give me the keys. You're done. You're
Yeah.
done.
I mean,
Hire a
normal
driver.
people,
They have to drive you everywhere.
yeah, I agree. Normal people that go through the same scenario, don't they have the breathalyzers that allow them to start their cars?
I think you got to get a couple for that. I'm not like totally aware of the law, but if you can't take a normal person's license, but I feel like in this circumstance, in a victimless crime, mind you, you can't obviously be driving impaired because if you kill somebody, then that's real shitty. And
Yeah.
you can't take that risk. And so as a person who can't afford it, if you like getting fucked up a little bit, get a driver.
Get a driver.
I
And
understand you can't take an Uber, but like get a driver.
yeah, I
Pay
think,
someone $150,000 a year to just wait for you to need to drive.
yeah, 100%.
It's not that hard.
And once again, I think this should apply to any kind of cars that they have, right? So if you're gonna go and get fucked up and drive drunk, if you've got exotic cars that like to go fast, well, guess what? You're gonna be sitting in the passenger seat. You're gonna be a passenger princess while your driver is driving around in your luxury vehicle when you're out getting fucked up, or just going to the grocery store.
Or you can, if you want to drive your car fast, go to a track. Go
Yeah,
to a track where there's someone that has to, obviously see if you're drunk or not. Don't do it on
right.
a street, right? Like, if you want to drive fast, go to a place where it's okay to drive fast. You don't really need that thrill. I'm sorry. You guys have $500 million. You don't get to have the thrill of like zooming around town while you're fucking cranked. You
Yeah.
just don't get to do it. So that's Judge Devin's decision. I would take
And
their
I
license away forever.
And I think that's fair. I think license away forever is fair. A couple things that I did find funny about both videos is JT. It's good to see, and I hope that people can also see this part is celebrities are just like us.
Yeah.
Because as he's doing the drunk driving test out loud, he's like, oh, this is really hard.
Just super hard tests. These tests are really hard. It was, and honestly, he's not wrong. I've never had to do field sobriety, but it doesn't look easy, right?
It's a
It's
real
like,
moment, you know.
yeah,
Now
I,
calling the president, not so much of a real moment. However, this is
yeah,
the
kind of
question that I
wild.
pose. Is Tiger Woods getting more hate for flipping his car while hammered or saying that he had a phone call with the current president of the United States?
It's tough to tell. It's probably you got it. Here's what the other thing. It's like okay, there's cameras in the cars, there's cameras on the officers, there's ring cameras all around the neighborhood that you were on. If you do something like that, that's stupid, obviously. You then can't just like do erratic behavior also. Like you can't be like, oh yeah, hey, I just called the president and expect the video not to come out. Like what they're wearing it's cameras everywhere. There's audio and cameras everywhere, especially when there's 12 cops on the scene. So it just seems like it's one of those
Yeah,
situations where when lawyers say just don't say anything, just shut the fuck up. I really feel like it's the best advice you could possibly give somebody.
100%. Dev, I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot here, but I feel like you got the skills to do this. I want you to give the people listening here and watching.
Legal
Um,
advice?
no,
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 I
no, not
refuse.
not not legal advice. I want you to give them your impersonation of the cops going home and telling their families who they pulled over and their experience of the situation.
Oh, that's wild. Well, so are you familiar with Scotty Scheffler?
No.
There is not it's not an impersonation because the guy's being himself, but the guy who arrested Scotty Scheffler on his way to a major tournament, I don't think it was the Masters. It
Oh
could
wait,
have
was
been.
he wasn't drunk. He just that was the Georgia guy that
No,
arrested.
someone waved him through
Hmm.
and it was a miscommunication. But whatever cop told him to stop, another one waved him through. All the charges were dropped, but he arrested Scotty Scheffler, and he was just like,
I remember this story.
yeah, and I imagine it to go something like either you know who it is, and it's like, well, again, they're wearing body cams. This is a bad impersonation. You asked for an impersonation. I'm not a good impersonator.
Or maybe like scenario. Give me the scenario on how you think it went. Maybe not an impersonator. Like be like, all right, you get home
You're never gonna believe what happened again is probably what goes on there. And I don't know really how you explain that as part of your job. It's kind of a bizarre, it's one of those bizarre moments, but it's definitely once in a lifetime type of situation for like a young cop to have to deal with something like that. But I don't know.
Are you asking for an autograph?
Ooh, yeah. No, I don't think that maybe an autographed piece of not paraphernalia of equipment, but it was hilarious. He was asking them and they're like, "Do you need anything from the car?" And he's like, "Just the putter, just the putter. All the other sticks in there, they can go, but I just need the putter." It's a Scotty Cameron putter. He just wanted his putter. So fire. It's a really good. Putters are very important.
They
Um,
are very important.
yeah, well, we have another breaking news story. Apparently, there is a half human, half alien birthing program happening. You sent me that earlier
Yeah,
yesterday. I
yeah,
watched the clip. Pretty bizarre. Would explain a fair amount, you know.
yeah.
There's there's some interesting people in the world. I've been saying I think Elon Musk is an alien. A lot of people, after an eating challenge, think CT is an alien.
Very
You
true.
know, there's, I've thought Tony was an alien after he swam past three of the breathing stations on Vendettas and he was underwater for about 2.5 minutes. I just thought to myself, well, there's absolutely no way a human could do that. Now,
Yeah.
my question is, let's operate on the premise that this is accurate. Do the people know they're half alien?
Are you talking about the birthed humans that grow up as adults? Or I guess they wouldn't even be humans. They'd be half-bloods.
They're 50-50.
Yeah,
So, but
they're
do they know? Do they know? Like, do they look like what 50-50 is it? Is it appearance human? Because obviously we would know right away if it was like, if it looked like an alien or if they looked like an
yeah,
alien, you would know. So you got to imagine it looks like a person, but has alien insides.
yeah. I kind of
So
think
you might not
that
know.
Yeah, I think the US government might be a little bit smarter than we give them credit for, that if a baby came out and they immediately were like, not human, that baby's getting tossed, right? Like they have no moral compass when it comes to science in that
Oh,
realm. I kind of feel like
you
baby
don't
comes
think
out.
cosmetic surgery or like just like a human suit, humanoid suit,
The thing about the suit is, how much of an upkeep would a human suit be on a
humanoid suit be?
day-to-day
Hmm,
basis? How would you cover up,
it's interesting.
having gills possibly? How would you cover up
I
having
don't think they have gills. They're
the
not mermaids.
well, I've heard the theory that some people think aliens actually come from the depths of the oceans.
Oh my God. There is I think it's in the Baltic Sea. There's like this giant disc that looks exactly like a spaceship from Star Trek. And these divers have been going down there and taking a peek at it for like 10 years. I have none of the details on this, but I saw a video on it. And it cuts their electricity every time they get within 200 meters of it. And then as soon as they get out of 200 meters of it, everything turns back on the boat, on all their gear, everything. And they have taken like rock samples from around it, and they're not from Earth. So well, or they can't prove that they are. And there's also a trail right behind it that's like thousands of meters long. So you imagine it kind of came in and
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
I think we're gonna get confirmation of life out there. And can I just give you my quick theory of what aliens are? So when it happens, I can reflect back to this exact moment.
We'll pull the clip.
I think aliens are rich people from the past.
Whoa.
Hear me out. Extinction level event is coming, right? So previous society, extinction knows an extinction level event is coming. I hate to break it to you, Paulie, but if an extinction level event was coming now, we don't get to leave.
We don't.
We don't get who gets to leave.
The richest of the
Super,
rich.
super rich people. So I think what probably happened is if you have the tech to be able to leave, you also have the tech to like essentially test tube baby a bunch of human DNA from, and the people that are leaving are going to want those people to be them because of ego. So I
Right.
think there was an extinction level event that was coming a while ago. Who knows how many times this circle has happened? And they
Hmm.
have launched before it happened.
Mm.
And that's the reason they come back and visit because they want it's like a trip. It's like a hey, we're going like back to where we came from. It's like a pilgrimage type of
Yeah.
situation. That's
It's
my thought
yeah.
process.
It's like a trip, or it's kind of like them trying to, it's almost like the Infinity Stones, right? Like they're trying to kind of bring back to a certain point in time in order to avoid the inevitability, right? They're trying to avoid Thanos, right? So are they coming back to try and continue this millennia of work in order to
Mm.
maybe try and solve it? And like there's always these extinction level events that keep happening on Earth, and but there's these people from the past that live in the future, and there are these fusion of alien humans, and they keep coming back to try and solve the problem of this extinction level event. Is that too far out there?
That could be a thing. We're talking we got into time travel now,
Yeah.
which is
And
electric.
parallel universes.
Here's another thing I think, right? Imagine if the seed of life wasn't only planted on Earth, obviously, right? I mean, I'm
Hmm.
a big simulation theory guy. I don't think we're living in base reality. I think there's a much higher probability that we're living in a simulation that feels real. So it's all real. It doesn't change anything outside of the fact that I don't think we're living in base reality. With that being said, imagine if there was a planet that didn't have extinction level events. So
Mm.
like Earth has to reset every X amount of thousands of years, millions of years, whatever it is. If there's a place that just doesn't have that, that doesn't have super volcanoes, that doesn't have, you know, asteroid collisions, their tech, if they've never had to hit the reset button, their tech is thousands, millions of years ahead of ours. We have to
Right.
reset every now and then.
Right.
If you never have to reset, it's like straight to the moon. So that's another interesting thing. It could just be instead of rich people from the past, could be a fusion concept. Rich people from the past found another planet that doesn't have extinction level events. Boom.
Yeah, I,
Solved.
I
Aliens
agree.
solved. Boom.
Aliens solved right there. You heard it here
You're
first on the Paulie
welcome.
and Dev show. You're welcome to Devin Walker
Mhm.
here. The craziest thing about it is we talked about like, do the children know? Now, I'll tell you, he definitely knows the adults procreating. So,
Oh, the people banging aliens.
yeah,
Well,
so
yeah, but hold on. Wait, maybe they're not banging. Maybe they're doing like what they do. Maybe they're doing like,
they're doing like in vitro.
yeah, like when you go to a sperm bank or whatever.
Mm,
You know what
okay.
I'm saying?
Yeah, I could see that. A little sperm bank, egg fertilization.
Like a DNA splicing. It's more likely than banging aliens, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I think for my own imagination, I would like to think of the primitive aspect of it.
You want to think about people banging aliens.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
want to think about the not advanced
Hmm.
logical version that you presented, and I want to think who's got the rawer deal there, right? The guy having to bang female alien or the woman having to get banged by male alien?
Mm.
Because we don't know what's down there.
Just
Um,
as an absolute hammer alien hogs would be
yeah,
tough.
or like how there's some animals where like, the penis has like prongs, right? So it actually goes in and
Oh
hooks.
no, we've gone too far.
Yeah, all right,
And
too
with
far.
that, yep, in that we're gonna clip the alien segment.
Yeah, and
We're
that we're
not
gonna
we're not talking about alien pronged wangs, okay? We have already eclipsed our
we're,
hour and we're
we're
not
like,
pushing it off for alien pronged
yeah,
wangs.
yeah, or Venus flytrap vaginas.
No, no, and he keeps trending in the right direction. Episode 4 coming to a close with a bang, quite literally, an alien bang. Anyways, that is going to do it for us. We've hit our time, and it was an excellent time hanging out, Paulie. I do want to plug a couple things again. Redemption Cruise Lines will be dropping, hosted by Paulie and Dev, featuring some of your favorite challenge superstars. It's going to be announcement coming for booking soon. Keep an eye out for that, as well as A couple other events. I know, Paula, you've got a comedy tour coming up. You've got, I think, a boxing event on the horizon in some capacity. So all of that's going to keep coming out. We have not been able to get anybody to roast us, which is horse shit.
Absolute horseshit.
So the segment is very much alive, but it hasn't been birthed yet. It's in the womb still. You could be the first person to ever roast a host, and we have a special gift for whoever that person is. So do leave the voice note or don't. I guess it doesn't really matter at this point, but we'd like to do it. We'd like to do the segment. Haven't been able to do it.
Yeah.
But that pretty much wraps it up. So, as always, I'm Devin Walker. He's Paulie Calafiore, and you all are wonderful. We're going to see you next time, Paulie. Take them out.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe to the Spotify and the YouTube, the Paulie and Dev Show. Okay, we're loving it. All right, the Redemption Cruise, just mark it on your calendars. The dates, November 2nd to November 6th. And
Boom.
another kind of, we want to drop it, right? Obviously, Dev's going to be my co-host on the boxing event. That's looking to come in October. Now,
Boom.
the weekend prior to this Redemption Cruise, Dev and I might have something cooking in the kitchen. So if
Hmm.
you're in the Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Boca, Del Rey area, we may got something for you.
Hmm. Paulie and Dev Show Live. Maybe.
Whoa,
Maybe.
whoa, whoa. I mean, I didn't
Maybe.
say it. He said it. Now it's out
Maybe.
there.
Maybe.
We'll see what happens. But thank you all for stopping by.
See you next time.